updated thanks to Bethany there. You'll see all kinds of new products and tips for your lawn. And if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, give us a call. It's 704-253-7010. That's 704-253-7010.
Real Country 550 and 92.9 WAME and W225BD Statesville.
Welcome to Racing Roots with Hamm.
If you don't know our host, David Hamm, he's a 25-year NASCAR veteran, engine builder, and jackman.
Live every Monday evening, we have a new guest
From the racing world with their stories, their paths,
their
racing roots.
Sponsored by Jersey Cape Yachts.
Now here's our host, David Hamm.
And good evening and happy Labor Day, everyone. I guess that's a right thing to say, happy Labor Day, because you actually got to spend the day doing whatever you wanted to do. That is, if you are a laborer. If you don't labor, then you don't get a day. Anyway, welcome to Racing Roots with Hamm and Phil Cavali and Tracy Hamm over here. And we also have Derek Colson in today as our guest. How you doing, Derek?
I'm doing great, David. I hope you guys have had a great day today, too.
Yes, it's been somewhat uneventful, but, you know, we're coming off of the eventful anniversary yesterday. Well, kind of, sort of, but not really. Anyway, the big 5 years. Yes, we made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice
our day
day.
consisted of exchanging cards.
Yes, we did.
all we
That's
did.
the appropriate 5th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
said so.
What's usually the 5-year traditional gift? I don't even know.
I think it's paper or something
aluminum
like that.
foil.
See?
I think paper's one.
Well, paper cards are
So
made
you-
out of paper.
Your past one. Your past paper.
I don't
Colored
know.
paper.
Yeah,
Paper
colored
with
paper.
meaning.
Yeah.
Paper with meaning.
Well, my paper had color and it had a little bit of glitter on it too, as well. So there you go.
It was bedazzled.
Yeah, it was.
There you go.
It was.
There you go.
All right. So yes, we're on Racing Roots with Hamm right here on 550 AM, 92.9 FM, and we're in the live in the Randy Brand studio at 101 South Center Street. You can also check us out on DHammiam on YouTube, and so go on there if you want to make a comment or say anything to us. Like we got Dickie Dennis saying howdy, howdy, Mr. Colson, and let's see, Rachel Rodman's down in Charlotte, and she had a birthday recently, right, Tracy?
Last Monday.
Last Monday was her birthday, and I'm pretty sure we told her that. I told her on the radio as well, but I sent her a text yesterday to tell her again, just to make sure I covered it.
So we've got most of the birthdays covered except for one very important
Yes.
birthday in the house.
That's right.
Yes.
The lovely wife of Derek Colson, Michelle.
Where'd she
Yes.
go? Where's she hiding now?
Yeah,
She's hiding now.
she's
hiding
relaxing in the rocking chair
sunlight.
over there.
All the way over there.
Yeah.
I need to put a camera on her. Let's see here. I got one somewhere.
I'm a lucky man.
Yes.
Because I get to do this on the day of her birthday.
Yeah.
And I'll treat her to dinner. If not tonight, it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because looking across the road over here, it's not a whole lot going on. I think they've rolled up the carpet here in downtown.
They have.
Yeah.
The parking lot's empty.
Yeah, it's
Streets.
kind of a rare sight.
Yeah,
down
it is.
here, so.
Whatever it is for Labor Day, people just disappear in Statesville.
Well, we spent the day up in New River area, Allegheny County line, and we noticed there was a lot of campers, pull behinds coming out of the campgrounds and stuff up there. And I told Michelle, I said, well, this is probably the end of the season for them because they had their pull behinds and then the next vehicle behind them was their side by sides. So they were taking it all home for the winter, I guess.
Right, that's
So
true.
I guess it's
Good
that
point.
time of year.
Which means it's perfect time for anybody to go on up there because the weather's gorgeous up there.
It's lovely. It's
I think
lovely.
in the state parks in North Carolina, it's $20 a night to go in there and stay.
Yes.
And it's been full this season. I only went up in July for a weekend because it was the only weekend I could get through Labor Day.
Yeah. It's probably one of the cheapest tickets in town is staying over at State Park.
And it's so peaceful and quiet there. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. It's this nice area. North Carolina's blessed with some good state parks. That's for sure.
Yeah, so if you recognize that voice over there, that's Phil Cavali. He actually joined me on the radio Friday morning show. Billy Buck's been up in Norfolk, Virginia.
That was fun.
Yeah, glad you enjoyed that.
It went quick.
Yeah, it does go quick. Yeah.
Well, you got it down to a T, though, David. You're like operating that orchestra.
Yeah, it's a lot to it. When I first started, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, I have to just keep it in perspective. I built NASCAR engines, and there was a time where I said, man, am I ever going to be a NASCAR engine builder? There's a lot to it. You know what I mean? So you always kind of think, and this goes out to everybody out there listening.
All timing.
You just have to just pay attention and learn everything that you can about everything. And that's kind of the way I go about it. I want to know how to do everything that I can, you know. And but anybody, just a matter of putting your time into it to do it, right?
I think when you have an interest in something, you absorb everything you can from that area, and you take it and try to use it to your best ability.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So if you're not interested in it, just don't bother, because if you don't love it, and you're just not going to want to keep doing it.
If you feel forced into doing it, it's probably not going to be successful.
Yeah,
So.
that's right.
Well, it's been said many times before. You better find something you really enjoy to do, because you're going to do it for the rest of your life.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
That's why so many people get just being miserable in the jobs that they're in, because their mom or dad told them, you need to grow up and you need to be a doctor, or you need to be a lawyer, or whatever.
Yeah.
If your heart's not in it, don't do it.
That's right.
Hello to Chad. Chad, it's up. Hyder is up in Ohio, and there's our buddy Dickie Dennis, and he's the infamous fence climber, of course, and up in Virginia.
Hi, Dickie. Hi, Rachel. And hi, what was the last gentleman you just said?
Dickie Dennis. Chad Hyder.
Chad. Yeah.
Yes, and
Hello to
also
Chad.
Paul Rodriguez. He is down in Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Hi, Paul.
And yeah,
Where is Brandon Garrison at?
Brandon Garrison is in Statesville.
Oh, is he?
I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Brandon. Yeah,
Hey,
let's see.
Brandon.
He's tuned in now as well. And let's see.
My
who else.
favorite person, I am Tham in there. That's the story. You see, it says I am Tham, and I'm like, who? No, I called it Iam Tham.
Yes, that's right. Ian
And
Tham.
that's actually Tracy, being I am T Ham.
That would be
Tracy
myself.
Ham. Yeah, and I was reading it the first time going, who's Iam Tham?
Yeah. It's like reading one of those car tags, when a personalized tag, you try to read it and see it. Oh, that's it.
That's what it means. Yeah.
Right.
The Hammets are watching. Gene Hammett and his family.
Yeah, those are great friends of ours. Gene, he and I grew up together. Man, we've known each other since 4th grade.
How about that?
And we're getting old.
Yeah.
So
Aren't we
that's a
all?
long time.
You're
Hi,
still
Gene.
young.
All right, so we got Derek Colson in here with us. So, Derek, you want to tell everybody what your background is?
Yeah,
Let's say
well,
first.
it's automotive altogether. I grew up around racing, and I got the bug, or it got it in my blood pretty early. My earliest recollections was my dad and my uncle going over to a friend of theirs who was racing in Winston Cup, in the 70s, Richard Brown. As a matter of fact, here is a postcard of.
Just hold it right there, and I can zoom down to it.
But that's Richard in his car. That's probably around 71 Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
So I remember going over to his shop. He had a 1-car shop at his house, and his oldest daughter and I were the same age. We grew up together, and we still talk to each other on Facebook mainly. But my dad and my uncle was going over there and doing work on that car, and I was tagging along because I was I was just a 5-6-year-old guy, boy, just tagging along with my dad, and just the sights and the smells in that garage, I guess it got to me, and I followed along with him. Of course, in the 70s it was a lot different. There was no professional crewman. Most everybody that worked in the shop went to the racetrack on the weekends, and Richard and a host of other guys, the private, the car, private owner drivers, they didn't have anybody, and so my dad and my uncle, they would kind of be there for him at the racetrack, and back then they would it'd be the same group of guys would pit maybe 3 or 4 cars, different drivers. So one would come in one lap, and the other one would come in the next lap, and so forth. And it was like names like Bill Champion, Sam Summers, Richard Brown, you name it. Those guys were, they were just trying to make it by from week to week. And Richard was trying to do it for a living. And he was okay at it and made a living at it for several years. And then when the their sponsors and everything started coming in, money started getting bigger and bigger. Then that kind of pushed these guys to the side, and Richard went into other careers. But nevertheless, that picture that was up, that's from Michigan Speedway back in the early '70s, mid '70s. And I think he was maybe in this particular race that this postcard was made, he was the rookie of the race that year. And then he raced like in Grand National East races back in the '70s. Okay. Which because they had those little subdivisions of the touring, the Cup Series, and so there is a story. My uncle was around, and back then Hickory Speedway and Metrolina down in Charlotte, Ned Jarrett I think was promoting both tracks. And ironically, Hickory was paved and Metrolina was dirt at the time.
Yep.
And so Richard was running a Grand National East race down there, and at Metrolina I think it was, and Ned Jarrett approached Richard and asked him if he could put a driver in the car in his 44 car. For that one race, and it was Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, and so, yeah, Dale came over. Story is Dale came over. Richard Brown, his garage was in Claremont. Dale came over. My uncle was there. They got, he got in the seat to get fitted up, so to speak.
Yep.
But my Uncle Don, he remembers seeing Dale pull up, and there was a lady in the car with him, and then a baby. And my best guesstimate is that baby was Kelly.
Okay. Yeah.
So
That's one.
So he gets fitted in the seat, and then so that I think later on that week they go to Metrolina and run, and it gets down I think within about 5 laps to go, and it's between Dale and Richard Childress of all people. They're running like 1-2.
Yeah.
And they get together with about 2 or 3 laps to go, and Dale spun out. The car wouldn't crank back. So Richard, the owner of the car, he goes running out onto the track and pulls up the hood, and negative battery cable came off of the car. He just put it back on, and Dale fired back up. I think Dale finished maybe 5th, something like that in that race, but Richard won it. Story goes Richard Childress won that race, and so they were competing against each other at Metrolina back in the I would say it's early '70s.
Okay.
Grand National East race, but my uncle was kind of involved in some of that, but and it goes back all the way back to my uncle and my dad. I later found out that they were at the '64 race at Charlotte. They had the fiery wreck with Fireball and Ned Jarrett and Junior Johnson. They were at that race, and so it was things like that kind of got me hooked really early. And then my uncle Don, he built a 1-car garage in his backyard, and so I'm over there a lot. When I was growing up, I was over there all the time, and so I'm over there one day, and I see a guy bring a 55 Chevrolet on a trailer, and he parks the car down beside my uncle's horse barn, which was down behind the new shop. And next thing I remember is they're bringing that 55 Chevrolet, and they put it in the shop, and they're making a race car out of it. So it was my uncle's first race car, and 2 other guys helped him out. J.V. Huffman Sr. and Bumgarner.
Bill?
No, his first name. Everybody calls him Jabbo.
JD?
Wayne Bumgarner.
Oh, Wayne Bumgarner. Yeah, I remember him.
Okay.
Yeah, he ended up being with the 22 Miller car with Bobby Allison in the early 80s. But those three, they built that car and raced it, and it was a lot of fun watching them go to Hickory and Metrolina and run. I was there for a good bit of it, I would say, and that's pretty much how my bug got started. That was early age.
Did you have a favorite driver when you first recall, getting inspired to race?
Yeah. It was probably Darrell Waltrip. Well, no, I'm sorry, Cale Yarborough. Yeah. My dad was a Junior Johnson fan. Mm-hmm. And well, even back before that, Bobby Allison, when Junior drove, when Bobby drove for Junior in the Coca-Cola car, my parents were going to races a lot, and I ended up going. My first race that I attended was, I'm thinking it was a '79 National 500 at Charlotte in October, and Cale Yarborough won the race in the 11 Busch beer car that looked very similar to what the car that Kevin Harvick was running last night.
Oh, yeah.
That's a beautiful car, by the way. Yeah, that was my first race. And before that, I was going to qualifying at Charlotte in the 70s when they would, I think, qualify like on Thursday before the race on Sunday. And my dad and I would go down there and watch those, watch qualifying and stuff like that. And we were at Wilkesboro all the time.
Yeah, sure.
We were there because my uncle ended up building International Sedan Series, which became the Goodies Dash Series, which had many names throughout the years. But he ended up was building that in the late 70s, early 80s. So we were going to a lot of tracks that Cup cars went to, at Daytona, Atlanta, Rockingham, Wilkesboro, you name it, Atlanta. It was a lot of fun going there and watching those guys run. Bristol, we go to Bristol.
My first race was in Charlotte back in the 70s something, but I don't remember what it was. I was just a little kid. I just remember Richard Petty was running, but not a lot of the other ones weren't running. I don't know if Cale Yarborough was or not. Yeah. But I wish I could remember exactly what race it was, because I bet you there's footage of it somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
When I first ended my career as a jackman, well, of course, back then YouTube wasn't around, I guess, but years later I started going back and looking, and I couldn't find the videos anywhere. But now you can about find any race that there was.
Yeah, there's some guys that have their own channels that on YouTube that they put a lot of stuff. They've got a lot of material on there.
Sure.
And I'll peruse through there from time to time. And
I was one of those obsessive fans in the early '80s up until I started traveling, and I would edit everything out. I paused it when the commercials came. I got them all, and I think David's got a VHS recorder I want to get my hands on sometime.
Now, you know what I do?
I keep remembering that because I just threw the bad one I had out the other day, and I thought David's got one.
That's right. Yeah, I do. I got one for you, and I have a lot of VHS tapes too from back whenever I was going to the track. We just record the race, just record it, and then I could go back and watch when I got home. But I never did go back and watch them. So I have a whole bunch of these. And my dad was at Charlotte in '64 whenever Fireball Roberts had his wreck. He took off running down there. He said, as close as he could get to the fence, I guess it was. And he was a huge Junior Johnson fan. Yeah. So, of course, I grew up as a Cale Yarborough fan. Oh, yeah. And then I like David Pearson as well. Yeah. I had a few comments. Andy Houston says, Derek is a former track official at Concord Speedway. So we were going to ask. I was going to ask you about that too. Which official? I saw the picture of you. Yeah, that was some fun times too. It used to be the chief steward at Hickory, Steve Adams. He left Hickory Speedway and went to Concord. Well, one of my buddies that I went to high school with, he was like the lead tech guy. With Steve, so he started going down to Concord with Steve, and so he asked me. He said, "Hey," he said, "would you want to come and help us, do officiating at Concord?" I said, "Sure." So I started doing that. I was in the probably late '90s. Okay.
mid to late 90s, somewhere in there. I was going down there. I was down there for several years.
My first time there was in I think it was 1990 when Dale Earnhardt Jr. led his first lap ever there.
Yeah.
And Kelly they were running like 1 and 2.
Yeah, was it a late model?
It was a late
car?
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
I kept my little tickets somewhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see. My first times at Concord was actually with Kerry and Dale Jr. Because in the late '80s I went to work at the dealership at Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started there in '89 and worked there through '94, and I really consider that, because Dale didn't buy that dealership until like '87, I think it was.
Yep. I went there in
And
87 when he opened.
So yeah, and I started there in '89 and was there till '94, and I consider that kind of the heyday of that dealership because Dale won 4 championships during the time that I was there working at that dealership. So that place exploded.
Yeah.
There were people coming from everywhere, to buy cars there, and we would do those special edition Chevy Luminas. I've got a picture of that.
That's funny. My dealership years down in Charlotte were 89 to 94. And,
Really?
and at my last year, we wore the Good Ranch colors,
Yeah.
but it was at Galvin.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Let me see that picture again.
We had the uniforms. We had the Flying Aces uniforms.
Yeah.
Yeah. The silver
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
Good Ranch uniforms.
Black
Yep.
with the red.
But that was a lot of fun years. I got to know some people during those years that and I ended up going going places with them. One in particular was a man that came from Lubbock, Texas. He came in to get his foot in the door on a NASCAR team, and he his avenue was going starting at the dealership. He had automotive knowledge and worked at the dealership with us, and he ended up being the crew chief for 1 year in the Dash Series on Kerry Earnhardt's Goody's Dash Series car, and that's a picture of that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the Chevrolet. I guess that would be a Cavalier. I think that's the Cavalier.
Because they were a little smaller, right?
Yes.
Cavali.
Yeah, it was like a
It's a Cavalier.
yes. It was
there
a
you go.
subcompact car, and
yeah,
so that car was owned by Richard Mash out of Taylorsville, North Carolina. Richard, pretty much at that time was the engine builder in Dash Series, had been for years, and he was pretty well known in that series at that time, and so we got hooked up with him, and the car was maintained out of Taylorsville. Kerry drove it. We were going places. Mark Blessing was the guy's name that was the crew chief from Lubbock, Texas. He ended up being crew chief on some Craftsman Truck Series crews and things like that down the road after my brief little stint, and I was the jack man for that. Yeah.
How about that?
Now, being a jack man on a dash car
Yeah.
and being jack man on a cup car, there's big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Big difference. You had it much harder than me.
Oh, the Dash car. Yeah, there's how you remember
It
the
was
weight on that?
100 lap race.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, well, that too.
100 lap race. We didn't change tires.
Yeah.
We weren't changing tires. The only time I was jacking the car up was if we wanted to make a spring adjustment.
Oh, yeah.
Because it had coilovers.
Right.
And we were making spring adjustments. And I was the jack man, if you will, in quotes.
Yeah.
I'll put that in quotes.
Did you say,
I was nothing compared to what you did, Dave.
Y'all use those 4-way lug wrenches, right?
Well, we did have air guns. We did have air guns.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
There you go.
But I had a good lightweight, quick jack that was handed down from, I'm sure, his RCR.
Sure.
It was an RCR jack, and I mean everything that we had was handed down. There was the 36-foot enclosed Featherlight trailer pulling the car with an old Chevrolet dually that had probably a 2 times rebuilt engine in it, and it was from Sports Image.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know if you remember Sports Image or not, Phil. You may have.
Hank Jones.
Yes, Hank Jones.
Yep.
He had that souvenir company, and he became part of the crew for Dale Earnhardt Sr. Later on.
He comes around once in a blue moon. I'll bet you he was in Darlington yesterday. I know Hank.
Yes. I've seen him from time to time at tracks before, and because I knew him back then at the dealership too. So, but yeah, those were fun times. We were in the Dash Series in '93. It was '93. Rodney Orr was the champion that year.
I remember him.
And then the very next year, he died tragically at Daytona. That was the same year Neil Bonnet passed away too. So
'94.
But yeah, that was our year in Dash, and then Kerry went on to different things, and Dale Jr. was driving. He was driving late models at Myrtle Beach by that time, and then he moved on up, of course.
Yep.
But
when I was at Concord, we had Dale Jr. was racing. I was on Stanton Barrett's crew, I guess, in 1990. It was my first time actually going and working on a team. And then, Hank Parker Jr.
Yes.
And Jack Pennington.
Yep.
Some of those guys were running out there.
Yeah, Hank Parker Jr. was a good friend of Dale Jr.'s.
Yeah.
They palled around quite a bit.
Yep.
But yeah, Kerry and I were closer in age, and so we palled around some during that time, and had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Hey, we're going to come back here in just a few minutes. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk to Derek Colson some more. So if you got any questions, go on to YouTube, DHammiam, and you can put them on there. Ask us questions, leave us comments, or whatever you want to do. I wanted to shout out to my buddy Neil Johnson. He sent me he's sponsoring I guess you call this like a little mini sprint car, and it's Aiden Sneed, who coincidentally my mom's maiden name was Sneed.
Your maiden name?
Yeah, I was gonna say my maiden name. Yeah. So, but anyway, he said we might get this kid to come on the show sometime. So that's cool. We'll have to work on that. So, all right, we'll be right back with Racing Roots with Hamm here in just a few minutes.
Blue Harbor Bank is not your typical bank, right, Doug Hendricks?
It's a great little bank. We're based out of Mooresville. All of our board of directors, our employees, and the vast majority of our customers are all from right here in Iredell County. So it's a great place to be. We have a great time as a team. The team here in Statesville consists of Jennifer Jolly and Tara Summers. They are the primary customer service folks for business and personal banking. Then we have Tom Kincaid as a commercial banker for this area. We also have the best mortgage banker in the area. That's Lisa Culvard, who many people have worked with at other banks. She's been in the market for over 20 years doing mortgages. And then yours truly, Doug Hendricks. We have a great time working together. There's no competition between our employees for accounts or whatever. And because of that, then we don't have a lot of the issues that some banks have with people doing things they probably shouldn't do just to make a sale.
Blue Harbor Bank, with locations in Statesville, Mooresville, and Huntersville. Member FDIC.
At 8:30.
All right, we're back on Racing Roots with Hamm, and if you caught the end of that, that was me strumming the piano right quick. So, yeah, right. Hey,
Multi-talented.
We did have a song request. Andy Houston actually requested this, so I can't turn it down, right?
Okay, yeah.
And would you want to get your lovely wife to come over here and say hey to everybody? Andy Houston's tuned in.
Says
and
this is as close as you
y'all
get.
are good friends. Actually, Phil said he was out over at where was that place you were at?
Lineburgers the other night.
Yeah.
And I was up at the salad bar, and who do I run into but Andy Houston, his wife, and Derek and Michelle.
Yeah.
Best blue cheese in the world there.
Man, they've got great food down there.
They really do.
They really do, yeah. So it's a good place to eat, for sure. I hope it.
Cheryl's Ford. That's Lineburgers.
I hope it continues. It doesn't go anywhere. They're doing a road expansion project through there. I hope it doesn't take that up. So.
Oh, yeah. That'd be something.
Yeah.
All right, so I could do it now, or I can wait till the end of the show, whatever y'all want to do. Because, it's a birthday. I have to.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it now, David.
Just get it
Cue
over
it
with.
up.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Michelle. Happy birthday.
And many more.
Yay.
And many more. All right, there you go. Happy birthday. And,
Yes, happy birthday, Michelle.
let's see who else. Mike Bear. Mike Bear's in Ohio, right? I believe so.
Rhode Island, I think.
Oh, Rhode Island. Okay. Wow, that's way on up there. And
So is it true, Derek?
What's that?
Trivia note. Derek can name every NASCAR champion in order. Andy Houston says he witnessed it at a Christmas party one year. Go.
I went from 1960. Okay.
yeah.
Rex White.
Yes.
Okay.
Went from 1960 all the way up until like 2001, and then it gets a little foggy for me there because you get the playoffs in there, and you get Jimmy Johnson's 5 in a row. And
is Ned Jarrett 61?
Yes, Ned Jarrett was 61. 62 and 63 was Joe Weatherly. 64 was Ned Jarrett. 64 was Richard Petty. That was his first championship.
Man, Joe Weatherly's car, whenever he died, it was like, he only wore a lap belt too.
Yeah. That was a rough wreck. That was at Riverside. I want to say in 64, maybe.
Yeah, 67.
He hit the wall driver's side at Riverside after the S's, and that was nasty.
Yeah.
That was a bad looking wreck.
And then they didn't even implement window nuts until Richard Petty had his bad wreck.
Yes,
years
almost
later.
came out of the car at
Darlington?
Darlington.
Yeah,
It was
65.
1970 or something like
was it? I
that.
thought it was
Yeah,
earlier.
somewhere around 70.
Yeah.
69, 70.
He was fortunate enough to survive that.
Yeah, that was a
rolled right
big.
over
That was a
pit
big
wall.
hit. That was a huge hit. He knocked that concrete down, on the wall separating the track and the pit road, and that was nasty looking too. So
Hanging half out of the car.
yeah, I think it was a deal where, and no discrediting Joe Weatherly or anything, but when you got the top star of the sport, that and Richard Petty at that time, having a very near fatal accident, then you make changes.
Right.
And
Kind of
that's
like they did in 2001.
exactly. I'm sorry to say that, but that
Head
was
and neck strength. Yep.
yeah, and it was it was sad that Kenny Irwin and Adam Petty had to do that before the year before at New Hampshire.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Then they made changes. Of course, one of the things was on the gas pedal, having the where you can pull your foot up, and that
Yeah, the
pulls
little
the
bar.
drawer.
Yep. Yeah, just like putting your foot in a socket, so to speak, to both application and
Took
pull
J.D.
off.
McDuffie.
Yeah, that was at Watkins Glen. That was ugly too. Straight on.
93,
That's
94.
that's what prompted that bus stop back there.
That was like 90.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was early '90s, so
Yep.
And then you had Jimmy Johnson, remember, at the Glen when he nerfed right into them tires.
Yeah, that was at turn one. That was
Yeah.
nasty looking too, and he come right out of that car. That was amazing.
some of the other things they implemented were like the I had the word in my head where you tether the tethers.
Yeah.
Tethering the upper control arms and
Tires.
the hood
Yeah.
and those types of things because they would go flying up in the stands.
Did you ever see those? You saw them, David, how
What's
heavy those braids were, those
Yeah.
rope.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
some heavy duty braided
It
rope.
looked
they put
almost
on
like a boat anchor.
Yeah,
that
it
type
was,
of rope.
It was like a
Really thick.
it was thick, but it was braided all together. and
Yeah,
then wrapped
almost like
around.
fire hose material.
Or imagine the Dickie. What do they call the military para rope? I guess you call them
Paracord.
paracord. That's
Yeah.
it. And imagine those, but they were thicker, like an inch probably,
Oh,
Exactly. Yeah.
versus the paracord.
Yeah.
Same deal.
Well,
Same
with
thing.
parachutes, they have to be lightweight and strong.
Yep.
Yeah, so the evolution of NASCAR and the safety things that they, and then the soft walls was probably the biggest one of all, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a great innovation myself
it is.
because that metal, the metal that's on the wall,
Or concrete.
out beyond the concrete, the metal that they use in the soft walls,
Oh yeah.
it's very rigid. Okay, I mean it's like a wall, but that styrofoam that's behind it, it absorbs that impact, and that's what dissipates that energy, and it's really there was a lot of good
Did you
engineering that went
see
into that.
Last night, William Byron hitting the wall.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
That was nasty, too.
If that would not have been a safe wall, he would have been really rattled his cage.
Yeah, it would have really shortened that car up on the front end, and it did anyway. But
Yeah.
that was nasty too. But yeah, the things that they've come out with, since 2001 is pretty amazing. That softer wall.
Well, you think 20-some years ago, the drivers were literally able to turn around and look to the right to see if anybody was there left, and now it's such a cocoon they can't really turn a lot to see.
Yeah. And the Hans device limits that also.
Oh yeah.
And so that's something that Hans device I think went a long way in preventing any basal skull fractures.
Well, think about Michael McDowell's wreck at Texas.
Yeah, that was
in Level
nasty.
Zero. I
That
mean,
qualifying wreck.
just kept flipping and spinning
Unbelievable.
and turning and
Yeah, it was terrible. That was nasty looking.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, we want to thank Great RV Life. If you're needing to rent a camper, if you're wanting to go stay at any of the racetracks or just go camping, just get away for the weekend and get back to nature, Great RV Life. That's GR8 RV Life. You can see them on the screen here with Racing Roots with Hamm on Facebook. I mean on Facebook and on YouTube, DHammiam, that is, and also on Facebook. But GR8 RV Life, check them out on Facebook and Instagram. And you can rent your camper. They will take it out to Martinsville, Charlotte, wherever you want to go, and set you right up. And then their Class C is a great camper. We actually did a little promo video. You can find that on Facebook or Instagram. And we were sitting inside their Class C, and that's one you can get in and drive it around. And it's really nice. It's got 2 slide outs. It's like your full living quarters there. You just take it wherever you want, and you don't have to inquire the expense of buying, because you know how that can get very expensive with insurance and tires and whatever, all of your expenses.
Everything that comes with it.
So there you go. Check them out.
Yep.
And just send them a message if you'd like to rent an RV, because we got Martinsville coming up in October, and I guess Charlotte's coming up around that time, right? Don't we have?
Yeah, Charlotte's in October. I think the first weekend in October. It's about 4 weeks away.
Yeah.
That's right. We were putting our heads together on that.
Yeah.
Because it's October 10th, I believe is the Sunday race, October 10th. Because I do have an event that Sunday, but I may be able to go to the, unless I'm thinking about Martinsville. No, it was Charlotte.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes. We're talking about putting our heads together, talking about going to different races and broadcasting live and that type of thing, or at least doing some video.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the beer man might be going to Martinsville. That's why we talked about maybe going up there. And
Dixon Alley Decker will be racing there.
yeah, we could probably get Dickie Dennis to come on over for that, right?
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. Bring your pup tent, Dickie.
That's right.
Hey, whatever it takes, man. I'd sleep in one of those too.
It's in
hang out
Virginia.
there.
It's not Richmond, but it's in Virginia for Dickie.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I think it's just the county that he's barred from.
Yeah.
It's be hard
Which,
to
I mean,
imagine they could keep anybody out if they had a ticket. They don't, they don't look at the name.
That's right.
Yeah.
As long as you got your hair dyed blonde this weekend, Dickie, you'll be able to get into Richmond.
Yeah, let's change the hair, and that'll change everything. If you're just now tuning in, we got Derek Colson in here. And Derek, also, you have a NASCAR background. What was your Caterpillar?
Yeah. So I've, over the course of the years, I've been very, very lucky. I was just a big fan that got lucky on numerous accounts and occasions. And so I had gone, that the official, doing the official thing at Concord, I was doing that, and
How long did you do that?
I did that for several years in late 90s, maybe early 2000s.
That was be the Winston Racing Series? Or?
It was. I got to meet, good many people there. Jerry Cook. He was
Hall of Fame.
the past modified champion. He was the director of the Winston Racing Series at that time. In NASCAR, and I got to be around him quite a bit.
Just got a star up here in front of Tim's table in Mooresville, the NASCAR Walk of Fame or
But
racing.
he was a very very good guy to work with, and very easygoing. I really liked working with Jerry, and then the director of the Southeast Division or Southeast Region at that time for Winston Racing Series, Joe Collins. He worked with us also. My job at Concord was the tires. If we had tire impound, I was taking care of the tire impound. I would stick the tires, as they call it, when they come off of their qualifying laps. I would take a durometer and check the softness of the tire to see if it was within our limit, and if it wasn't, then their qualifying time was tossed. They would start in the back of the field. It was a lot of fun, with the cat and mouse game with tires. That's one of those areas that's there's a lot of gray.
Because you could have softeners, right?
Oh yeah, you could. There was. I had a tire impound one time, and I was missing 2 tires from a certain team's car, and so I left out of my area, and I started looking for the tires, and I got up right up to their hauler, and before I even got to the tires, I could smell it. I smelled the softener, whatever they were putting in the tire, and they were doing it from the inside out. Whatever it was from the inside, and it would come out. It would come out through the tire from the inside out, and it made the tire better. You could get really good traction, especially like 2 laps qualifying. So they were doing that, and so Joe Collins happened to be there because it was a big money-paying race that night. And Joe was there, and he said, "Give me those tires and wheels, both." He said, "I want it all." I said, "Okay." So got those tires and wheels. They dissected those tires. I'm sure they sent those things off to the lab and got them analyzed, things like that, just to see what they could find,
Sure.
And but that was a lot of cat and mouse games going on during those times, and down there at Concord, that was kind of in the backyard, so to speak, of a lot of the race shops. So a lot of people would come down there and do their car, race their car. Jeff Mendring, it was one of the guys. He would run a late model Sportsman down there, and he's still, I think, involved in Hendrick Motorsports in some capacity. Don't know exactly what he does now, but he's been there for years.
Yep.
And several other people. That was Daniel Hemrick's stepdad. Got to know him down there during those times, during those years, and because he was down there helping another driver back then, before Daniel came along, of course. But it's people like that. Ricky Hendrick was down there quite a bit with that 7 green and white Quaker State car. The Grubb brothers, Wayne and Kevin Grubb, they would come from Virginia and come down and run it at Concord for a big, it was big money paying races back then, and that's what brought them in, and their equipment was top notch. The Grubb brothers, they ran some really good stuff. Couldn't find anything wrong with those guys. They brought some really top notch equipment down there, but you see like a young boy that was running in the mini stock, had a great looking car, little Ford, I think it was a Probe or something like that, and he and his dad built it, and his dad worked for Robert Yates Racing at the time. So I'm over there and I'm studying the car, and his dad's working real hard on the car on the front spindle, and I'm looking and seeing what he's doing, and he was packing the bearings with Gojo hand soap, hand cleaner.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The non-pumice, just the regular straight up Gojo.
Yeah.
He was packing the bearings with that, so he prepped the car for qualifying.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
With Gojo, packing the bearings with Gojo, and I'm thinking why, and then so I'm thinking, okay, Gojo has less rolling friction,
Right.
less rolling friction than wheel bearing grease. So he would run that Gojo in the bearings of the front spindles just for qualifying, and boy set track records in mini stock qualifying, and so then he would come in and put the car up on jacks, clean everything up, pack the wheel bearings with regular wheel bearing grease for the race, and off he went. It was little stuff like that just really, I was thinking, wow, these guys are really going, the extra mile.
Yep.
That's
To
where
do
you pick
that.
up all those tricks and
Yeah,
trades.
yeah, it was so interesting seeing all that. That was a lot of fun doing it. But I did that until early 2000s, and then I was doing just little stuff maybe from here or there, going to races and stuff until 2012 when I got a call. My wife and one of her other friends, they dropped my name to a girl that had a marketing company out of Boone, North Carolina, which was another one of their classmates, and she had a marketing company, and she was doing things for Caterpillar, doing hospitality events for Caterpillar, and so I called her, and she asked me if I'd be interested in maybe doing an event, and I said, you don't have to ask me twice, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So next thing I knew, I've got plane tickets to Texas Motor Speedway, and I'm jumping up and down because I'm thinking this is just crazy. I had to pinch myself. I couldn't believe what I was getting ready to get involved in, and I've loved every minute of that. Every minute of that. That was a lot of fun.
Now, that first Texas race, did we go down to the stockyards and have steak like we usually
Not that
do?
first one.
No, we
Not
didn't.
the first one. No,
okay.
no. But we did many times after that, Phil.
Yeah,
That's a lot of fun. See, that was like the night before the race. We would catch up with Phil, and he would meet us usually at the stockyards to
H3.
Yep, H3 Ranch is
Yep.
a little restaurant right there on the main
Drag
crossing.
there,
Of the
They got the
stockyards.
best steaks in town, boy.
It really was. It was a lot of fun. But those nights, before the race, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then doing the race the next day, what we would do is me and two other guys, mainly Mike and Joel. We were the three. At that time, we were the Blue Man Crew, like they have in Vegas, But we would take it. Caterpillar would bring their customers in that area, whether it be at Kansas, Fontana, New Hampshire, Homestead, Texas, you name it. We were there, and the customers would bring the dealers would bring their customers. If someone, was thinking about spending millions of dollars buying Caterpillar equipment,
you were going to get a free race day on the local dealer.
Yes, they were
And
through that customer, through that dealer.
That Caterpillar program was unique because they had it set up that the dealer paid for the whole program pretty much to bring in 100 people or so, to the event. But boy, we showed them a good time.
Yes, and that was the thing. We would, if there was someone, a decision maker, with that customer that was going to come, and if they were thinking about spending some money with Caterpillar equipment, between myself and Mike and Joel and a couple others every now and then, depending on how many people we had as many as 900 and some at Las Vegas one event. And then, it's all the way down to just a suite. We would do a suite sometimes too, either at Pocono or Richmond, somewhere like that. We'd do a suite. And Bristol, we'd have suites at Bristol too.
Well, tell our listeners exactly what you did.
Yeah, I would take those customers that were going to make decisions wherever they wanted to go at the racetrack on race day. I would take them there. Mm-hmm. I could take them to the drivers' meeting if they wanted to go. I would take them down on the starting grid to get their picture made with the driver. And we'd stand right there for the national anthem and everything. And when it was time to get for the driver to get in the race car, that's when we'd peel off and go back. We'd go to the pit box. From that point, we'd go to the pit box and sit, say, for the first stage or first stint, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that was that was another time where I was having to pinch myself because I'm thinking this is, I never in my dreams thought I would be doing this. I never thought I would have a NASCAR yearly credential, but I did. Yeah. I've had it for several years now, and I was just very, very lucky and very happy.
And while he's lamenting and all this relaxed joy of what he's doing, I'm freaking out trying to get a picture of these people at the back of the. Remember, I'd always be in a hurry because I want to get to the corner, and you'd be like, "Let's get a picture behind before they go up on top of the box." Well, let's hurry up.
Yeah,
and everybody's having such a wonderful time.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's people they'd be looking around, taking it all in, you know, and everything. And we're between me and Phil, we're trying to get get you right here. I need to get you here. Come on over here, you know. And at Richmond, in one particular time, I was trying to get them through a garage tour, and they were just kind of taking their time going through the area, and I'm thinking, come on, guys, I've got better things to show you. I've got better things to show you. Yeah. And it's in the garage area where you usually can't go. You know. So that was a lot of fun. And I don't know what the status of that as a whole, as far as the corporate hospitality situation is, post COVID. Right. I don't know what that's going to be. I'm not sure.
I did one in Indy. Yeah. I did a hospitality suite in Indy, and it was, you had to have all your vaccines masked up, everything. Yeah.
Okay. So going forward, I don't know what's going to happen. But if it happens again, I'm sitting on ready, waiting on go.
It changed a lot after,
as Mr. Tony Hill says.
Yeah.
After 9/11. 9/11 was things completely changed as far as coming in the garage.
Of course, yeah.
And all that.
Yeah. And but yeah, those times were that was a lot of fun for me. So
all right, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back on Racing Roots with Hamm. We got Derek Colson in here with us.
Hey, we got Ryan Scott here at the Randy Marion Ford store. What's the latest, Ryan?
Billy Buck, I want to tell you, our motto is buy today and work tomorrow. And that's what we mean with all the commercial vehicles we have around here. Whether it's a service body, a dump truck, a box truck to move stuff, buy today, go to work tomorrow. Don't wait on that thing to come in. Put it to work, making you money. Randy Marion Ford Lincoln, right off I-77, exit 49B. Home of the spinning cars, because that is where the deals are.
It's the 85th annual Iredell County Agricultural Fair, now through Saturday.
his
Racing Roots.
That's right, Derek Colson. And so if you're tuning in on WAME 92.9 or 550, go on to DHammiam on YouTube. You can tune in there as well and see us here live in the Randy Marine studio. Make your comments, ask your questions to Derek Colson or Phil Cavali or Tracy Hamm or DHammiam.
Or Michelle Colson.
Yes. Or Michelle.
Michelle doesn't realize it yet, but for about the last 40 minutes, I've had her right there in the corner of the camera. She's in her rocking chair. She doesn't realize she's on camera. And I got a little post-it note that has an arrow that says "Birthday Gal" right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a birthday. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So where were we? We were talking about hospitality and stuff.
Yeah,
with Kat.
that's me being a lucky guy over the years. From 2012, that first race was Texas in May of 2012, and Crystal is the owner of the company, and she had one full-time employee. His name is Earl, and yeah, and it was really. He had, his background was more of like trade shows. He had experience in like IMSA, doing things for IMSA cars, things like that. But he was doing more trade shows more than anything, and that was really his background. Whereas my background and Mike and Joel, they had a more of a heavily NASCAR background, and so Earl wanted me to become the pit tour guy. I was going to have 50, 60, 70 people at a time going from the hospitality area, which would be most time was outside the track. We would go down on pit road. I would put everybody in the pit stall that usually the Caterpillar car was being serviced in that day. Depending on how far up or down pit road it was from our hospitality tent, and I would go through different things. I was talking about the track. I would talk about the driver. I would talk about the car owner. I would talk about the car. I would if anybody had any questions, I would ask them. But that first time, Earl, he took me down. He said, we're doing 3 pit tours today. He said, I'm going to go with you on the first one. He said, and then the other 2 are going to be yours. I said, okay. So we go down, and we had, at that time, we had a little mini PA system with a little mic and a little speaker with a battery-powered thing, on your side. You strapped it over your shoulder. And that was the best portability thing that we could find to do this with, because a lot of times pre-race, you have activities going on. It could be loud in the grandstands, and it's kind of reverberating back down on pit road. So you had to have something to get over that, right. And talk to your people. Mm-hmm. So we walked down there, and Earl and I are standing on pit wall, and we're facing our folks, and they're in the pit stall looking up at us, and Earl gets a question asked of him, and he's kind of stumped. He's not sure what he's what to say. I leaned over at Earl and I said, I know the answer to that. Mm-hmm. And he handed me the mic, and I told the answer to that question, and that was about the end of the pit tour. So walking back out, Earl hands me the little PA thing, and he says, look, man, he said, you don't need me anymore. He said, this is all yours. And really that's what the objective was to free him up to stay at the right. tent to take care of the catering, any problems that may arise at the tent.
He just wanted to go along with you for a little bit and make sure you can do it, and then he figured out, well,
yeah. And after that first one, after the first one, I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Yeah. And so from that point, I didn't look back. I was loving it, loving every minute.
So all the years that we did that, I mean, what driver was on board when you first came?
Yes, first 2 years that I was on was Jeff Burton.
Oh, okay. You weren't there for Blaney?
I was not. I was the last 2 years that Jeff Burton drove the Caterpillar car. I was there. Then all 5 years that Ryan Newman drove the car, we were there for that. And then the 1 year for Daniel Hemrick, and then Tyler Reddick was the latest. And I worked limited time with Tyler because of the COVID thing.
Races,
yeah, pretty much.
What driver were you the most impressed with?
It's between to me it's between the mayor, Jeff Burton. He's a great guy.
Oh God,
he's so laid back, and he's really good even in the broadcast booth. I really like him.
Yeah, I agree, because I found myself, when you would go to a hospitality and somebody would ask Burton a question, he would just dissect it, and I would learn every weekend something from him. He's just great with explaining things.
Yeah, he could put it on terms that the people could understand.
And he's real. He's a very down-to-earth person, personable with us all.
And between the transition of Ryan Newman and Daniel Hemrick, it really shifted from the veteran driver to the young up-and-coming driver. And that kind of changed the things a little bit also. We only got to work with Daniel 1 year. Daniel's a great guy. He's earned his way up through everything. And then
he's got a great personality.
Yeah, and Tyler, Tyler's a go-getter, man. He is.
Oh, he's a wheelman.
Yeah,
he will win. I was convinced he was going to win last year, if not this year. But
he's gonna go places.
Yeah.
I think that team's getting momentum, and they made the playoffs. Now their run last night, they kind of faltered in the transition when it turned to dark. That car didn't respond as good as it was in the daylight. That the car was better in the daylight.
Who was in charge of the program with Caterpillar? Was that Greg Tolles?
Yeah, Greg Tolles was the first one.
Never replaced him.
Yeah, and he was so laid back. He didn't say anything.
Well,
hardly.
he was very analytical. He had things wanted done a certain way, and that's all there was to it. And I like working for people that know exactly what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like Greg, he was great. I mean, when he was replaced.
Yeah, Terry. Yeah, Terry came along and did his thing with and he was more involved. With it, he was doing more things with us, and with Caterpillar.
All right, so Dickie says, wait, what? The Ward Burton, I thought he was the driver for the Caterpillar car. So back whenever I first got into NASCAR, Kyle Petty was our driver, right? And so we actually had on our car, car, and our work uniforms, we had Caterpillar, and that was in 1995.
Yeah,
David Green drove.
Yeah, I think David Green was the first driver for the Caterpillar car.
Full sponsorship.
Yeah, and then it's gone to various drivers. And
when I worked at Bill Davis Racing, it was a Caterpillar car.
Correct.
We won
That's
the
correct.
Daytona 500 2002.
That was the Dodges.
Yeah.
Were you there when they ran Pontiacs?
I was
at Bill Davis.
No.
Okay.
I was there I was there in 2002 and 2003.
Okay.
And then I was over on the Bush program, which we built engines for those cars. Scott Wimmer and Kenny Wallace and some of those Bruco team, Jamie McMurray, some of those guys.
Right. Yeah.
Scott Wimmer. Yeah, we had won a lot of races with that deal.
Yeah, Scott came later on to drive the Cup car.
Yep.
Was it right after Dave Blaney?
No, it was before.
Just before Dave Blaney.
Ward.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Because the first hospitality I ever did was Ward's.
Yeah.
It was Loudon when Ward had just gotten his walking papers, and I can't even really discuss what was said that day.
Right.
Man, Ward was lit up.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
So Rachel asked, what were the events or traditions that NASCAR did? Would you bring back? Used to have, I guess you could say.
Well,
I mean, because we used to do
like pre-COVID, post-COVID. I wonder if that's the case, then I'm biased. I'm going to say the corporate hospitality.
Well,
bring that back, please.
Corporate hospitality was big.
Bring that back.
It's like, here's one of the things the way I see it, and it's almost kind of that way with the radio station too, or events that you have tickets that people want to be involved in. They want to get their name out there, but they also want to be included. They want to be fans. They want to be part of the experience.
Correct.
A lot of times the reason they get into NASCAR is not necessarily because, our name's going to be on the car and it's going to be seen on TV and people are going to go buy the products. That's all fine and well, but they just want to be a part of something that's really cool, and they want to go to the racetrack.
Yeah, and the accessibility to the drivers, okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's very important to the fan. And the tracks in recent years have made that change in the garage areas. The fans can walk right up to where the car is being serviced in the garage now. If they have a special pass, they can go there.
Yeah.
And like at Richmond and Phoenix, they've really done those tracks. They've changed that.
I'm telling you, if you want to see a neat race, go to Phoenix, because they did an incredible job fixing that infield. They didn't change the track at all.
No.
But by rotating the front stretch around, the start finish is just off of turn 4, which makes it pretty exciting coming to the checkers or taking a green. And then the infield is more fan friendly than I've seen out of most any track in a long time.
They've done great improvements out there.
It's amazing at Phoenix.
It's just really good, and I think the reward to that is the finale race.
Yeah, sure.
There,
I'll be there.
One of my biggest thoughts on it, though, is like if a sponsor comes to the race, let's say this, you approach a sponsor, a potential, and you say, hey, would you like to sponsor our race car? Your name's going to be on the car. Okay, they're like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. It's going to be seen on TV, maybe.
Yeah.
But hey, we're going to throw in some passes. You get to go to the racetrack.
Yes.
You get to meet the drivers. You get to have the whole experience. Sign me up.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. NASCAR sent out a survey. I think it maybe a year or so ago, with those questions.
Yeah.
Pointed questions like that. Which would you rather do? Would you rather have a chance at getting a chance to sit in the pit box, getting a chance to I don't know, go to the driver's meeting, something like that. And I'm sure, I don't know who all they sent that survey to, but from my point of view, stuff like that, like have a chance to give the command to start engines, have the be on the starting grid of a race. Would you like that ability, or chance to do that? And that's I think I hope that a lot of the fans kind of responded in that way, and it'd be awesome if NASCAR would maybe act upon that in the future.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. If they talk about wanting to get more money back in and go back to kind of the way things were, and get more fans in, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
the corporations, used to buy blocks of tickets to put people in the stands, and I don't know if that's happening that much anymore. That's sad. It's a sad reality, but it's sad.
Sure. Yeah.
And the driver accessibility thing, that I think that's important.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It used to be, man. I remember going to Bristol before the transporters could come down and fill the infield up. At Bristol, you had to park outside of turn 1 and 2,
right?
The transporters, and then just bring the car and whatever else over the infamous turn 2 gate where Michael Waltrip split his car in half,
right?
And Mike Harmon did the same thing years later.
Sure did.
You could really access the drivers down there, because you could walk most anywhere in the infield during those days. Like in the early '80s, I was, I'm down there in the infield at Bristol, and it's the football field. It's the old football field that they still had there, and you could walk around, and I'm seeing Harry Gant pull up in his personal car and get out, and go to his pit stall. I'm standing in line at concession stand, and I'm looking up about 2 or 3 people in front of me, and there's Ricky Rudd standing in the same concession line I was standing in, to get something to eat. And you could walk right up to the pit stall. My dad and I was there. I stood there at the Mountain Dew number 11 car, and Daryl's standing there next to it, and we were like, Daryl, how do you feel today? And he's talking to us and stuff, and then he gets ready to get in the car and qualify. And that
was one of his best tracks.
Oh yeah, and I, my dad told him, he said, go out there and get the pole, and he did, of course.
Sure.
That was those days, man. Daryl was hard to beat at Bristol, and it, like at Wilkes made years ago. Of course, as you can tell, it's a Mountain Dew car.
Yeah.
And this is wood, and it's it's wood burning guy that he worked with did the wood burning and everything.
Yep.
And so we took this to Wilkesboro one day, one of these, and we went down to the fence while there was a lull in the action on the track. Went down to the fence, and the guy led us across. And so we walk across the track and go across pit road and to the Mountain Dew hauler, and Daryl and Junior Johnson standing there, and we gave Daryl one of these, the other one.
Yeah, right.
And Daryl's like, man, he said, I think I'm going to hang that on my mailbox.
Mailbox.
And, yeah. He said, I think I'm going to hang that on my mailbox at home. And a guy back in the transporter said, I don't know if I do that, Daryl. It might get damaged.
Yeah, it might get gone. It might get hit with a
It might
bat.
get smashed, you know. So yeah, and we got a laugh out of that. But we, you know, that was the fan accessibility. You know, one other time I remember, before Daryl went to Junior Johnson, he was in the '88 DieGuard car, and he comes across the track and just starts signing autographs, you know, for people through the fence. I've got a Busch Beer hat on, because we were pulling for Cal Yarbrough's Junior Johnson car. Mm-hmm. I have a Busch Beer hat on. I didn't have anything else for Daryl to sign. I took my hat off, Busch Beer car, Busch Beer hat, and Daryl said, heck, I'll sign it anyway, you know.
Sure.
You know, and it was before Daryl ever went to Junior Johnson, you know, and so he signed my Busch Beer hat. That was crazy.
I have a quick little story that's funny like that. Is we were up in New Hampshire, and a good friend of mine from my hometown was trying to get an autograph from Joe Nemechek, and all he had was a Dale Earnhardt hat. And this is after Earnhardt and Nemechek had an altercation back in the early 90s. And he put it down in front of him, and Nemechek put the Sharpie right down on the hat. And when he realized it was an Earnhardt hat, he just pulled it up and says, "I'm sorry, I don't want to sign the Earnhardt hat." Yeah. And there was just a black dot there. Yeah. So from then on, Joe Nemechek was always known as Dot Nemechek to my buddy Scott. Dot Nemechek. Hey, I saw Dot Nemechek. You know, no, it's like.
So to follow up with that, a couple years ago, I'm on the starting grid for the Daytona 500 because I've got a couple guys that's wanting to get pictures made with I think it was Daniel Hemrick, or maybe it's Tyler. I think it was Tyler. Mm-hmm. And so I'm standing there waiting on Tyler to come to the car because his driver intro's going on. And Phil's standing right off beside me, just a short distance away. And John Hunter Nemechek was next qualifying, next to us. And we're all standing there, and there's a big group of people. You know how many people gets down there on the starting grid. And big group of people are standing there, and I'm looking over, just looking around, and Phil says, "Hey, Derek, you know who that guy is right over there?" I said, "No, who's it?" "That's Edsel Ford." I'm thinking, what? Mm-hmm. Edsel Ford, of all people, is standing there, with John Hunter Nemechek and his crew and everything. That was another pinch myself moment. I'm thinking, gosh, I'm standing here in the midst of a very important person.
He's one of the most down to earth guys. I've checked in at a hotel before where he brought his own bag in ahead of me and checked in at the hotel. He's very, very grounded man.
Yeah, he would come to see us at Roush Yates Engines, of course. Yeah, and so he was up there talking to us one of the many times that he did, and I'm sitting right there on the front row, kind of. And then one of my buddies that had actually gotten let go from there a couple of years before, we always kept in touch. And he sends me a text message, and I had his text message reminder sent on crickets chirping. So my phone goes off, crickets chirping, while Edsel Ford's talking to us. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't, I just played it off like
5 Shades of Red.
It wasn't me, but of course I'm turning red and it wasn't me, And then afterwards, Doug Gates comes up to me, he's like, crickets chirping, huh? I said, I wasn't trying to say it was boring or anything. I'm just saying. Yeah, he thought it was pretty funny, though.
Yeah, and there was another time that I'm at Fontana on pit road waiting on Ryan to get to the car. And Clint Boyer had qualified next to us there. And I look over, and there's John Force, because Clint Boyer had Peak Antifreeze as a sponsor on his car at that race. And John Force, he lives in, was it Pomona, I think, out there, or Yorba Linda. Which is not far from Fontana. Mm-hmm. And so they were out there to be with Clint and them at the race, and I'm thinking, wow, here we go. Here's the king of NHRA, right here. Is John Force standing there right near us.
That's one of the drag racing. You always hear people talk about how you can walk around anywhere and you could see any of the drivers.
Yes, every ticket's a pit pass, and that's like at Charlotte at the 4-wide Nationals. You get your ticket, and it's. They have a special bridge, pedestrian bridge that goes across the staging area, and you can go right over to the pits and get right up close to anybody. That's a really good thing for as far as NHRA, as far as driver accessibility.
Yeah.
What's up, Jim Dooley up there in Virginia? He says he's a and Jake McVee's also tuned in. See what Tim. I'm sorry. Good Lord, Jim Dooley was saying. Tracy, I'm sorry, and. Dickie was saying that NHRA driver Tommy Johnson Jr. he autographed a Kevin Harvick hat. So there's
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So hit that thumbs up if you're enjoying what you're seeing. Thank you, there, Dickie.
So somebody had requested.
There we go.
More cowbell.
Yeah, more cowbell.
Oh, that's
we
what
don't
that
need
meant.
we don't need a Sterling story, but you worked inside the Earnhardt dealership and helped with some of the Kerry Earnhardt's cars. Give us a Dale Sr. story that you saw or how he reacted.
Yeah. So okay, they had won the championship. This was in '93. And an associate sponsor on the Goodwrench car at that time was Western Steer Mom and Pops.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, WSMP.
Yeah.
And so kind of an affiliate of that was a place called Bennett's Barbecue. It was in Hickory. It was a restaurant. Well, my wife at the time worked at Bennett's Barbecue. So did my mother-in-law, and I think my sister-in-law may have worked there a little bit too. And so they were going to cater an event. Bennett's was going to cater an event at RCR, and it was a year-end celebration right before Christmas, and they were going to cater it. And so the people at Bennett's asked Michelle to ask me if I could go along, if I wanted to go along with her. And of course, that was one of those other times, you don't have to ask me twice.
Right.
I'm there, so we go to RCR that night. And I'm helping with cater the event. The whole race team's there. Everybody, Dale, Teresa, Richard, Judy, all of them, they're all there. And so at the end of the night, when we were winding things down, I go up to Dale, and Neil Bonnet was there that night too. That was really awesome. So I got to speak to Neil really just literally months before he tragically passed away. But I went up to Dale and I said, hey, and there was music playing and stuff. It was in one of the new shops at RCR. There was nothing in there but us. And so I went up to Dale and I said, hey, I work at the dealership. I'll see you next weekend at the dealership party.
Yep.
And he didn't quite understand me, because I think the music was loud, and I think he finally got it. But so I'm talking to Dale, and I said my goodbyes and everything, and off we went. Well, the next weekend, we're at the Christmas party for the dealership at another location, and we're all there. I'm sitting at a table. Michelle and I are sitting at a table. Dale and Teresa gets in. They walk in. First place Dale comes is he sees me, and he sits down in front of me, and he said, hey, he said, I'm sorry that I misunderstood you last week. He said, I figured it out. And I was like, no, it's okay, Dale, it's okay. And he said, no, he said, I apologize. But to think of how many people that Dale Earnhardt would see in a week's time and then he remembered me specifically in that way. It blew me away. It was really cool. There was another time that Dale was practicing at Hickory. He wasn't feeling good. He had drove from his house up to Hickory to practice, so he practiced a little bit. He wasn't feeling good, so he just broke it off. He called it off, and he had a buddy with him in the car. He had a 50, I think it was a 55 or 56 Chevrolet, really nice red car with a beautiful engine with chrome everywhere. He comes in, he pulls up to the dealership, and he says, "Hey, my AC ain't working good on this car." So he knew one of the other mechanics at the dealership. Tony Reed was the guy's name. Tony's father-in-law at the time was on Dale's Bush crew. Bobby Fesperman was his name. He worked with Tony Urey Sr. and Tony Urey Jr.
Was Michelle, his daughter? Possibly?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Michelle was married to Tony Reed at the time. Okay. So I was working with Tony. So Dale pulls up to Tony's stall. He knows where Tony's stall is, and so we all gathered around, just 2 or 3 of us, and Dale's sitting in the car, and we adjusted his AC belt on his car because it was slipping a little bit, and off he went. Peels out of the dealership, balling tires and stuff. So it was little stories like that was, that I'll keep for as long as I live. It's stuff that you don't really see, and there was a lot of stuff that Dale did that nobody ever saw. That really goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so. Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Dickie.
Good evening, David.
How are you, buddy? Happy birthday again. I know we told you that several times, but
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it, man. Hey, Tracy, hey, Phil, Mr. Colson, happy birthday to your wife.
Thank you, Dickie. Thank you. She says thank you, too.
And, Dickie, what were you saying about the thumbs up? You were just saying people are watching, but they need to hit the thumbs up, right?
Yeah, when on my phone, if I'm looking at your broadcast, there's an X at the right of everybody's comments. If you tap that, you can see how many people have liked or disliked your page, this show.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I did. That's what I was trying to tell Tracy. You can see them, but you just have to hit the X.
7 now. Currently, there's 7.
Yeah. Yep. So y'all hit that thumbs up. That tells YouTube that it's a good show, and they should put it out and let more people see it. Thank you for that. So,
absolutely.
Yep. So you did mention earlier, you and Jim Dooley said y'all were going to be going to Martinsville. I meant to say something about that.
Absolutely. Let me tell you about that buddy of yours, man. He has become such a wonderful friend. He asked me how he could make my birthday better, and I told him I had been planning on going to Martinsville, but some things come up, and I couldn't do it. So he has gifted me with tickets, and him and I are planning on showing up at that race.
Is that Finley?
Awesome. I'd like to be in the infield with you and maybe do that live thing with you, but I don't know how to get into the infield.
Okay. Well, we wouldn't do it from the infield. We wouldn't do it from the infield. We'd probably do it from outside, right, David?
Yeah, most likely. In Martinsville, yeah. Yeah, probably so. But either way, hey, we'll be there and we'll do it there. That'd be cool.
We're gonna be there, man. We're gonna be there. I'm gonna be that thing at Richmond this weekend. Also, I was telling you guys about. I look forward to seeing as many people as wants to come up there. Phil gave me an idea about, my driftwood thing and taking pictures with people that want to have a picture with the fence climber and whatnot.
Yeah. The question is that, I'm not going to be able to make it up, and we're all going to be watching on TV. Will we see you on TV? Will you make a spectacular appearance or do something?
Oh, my goodness. Let's hope not, right?
Save it for Martinsville.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. No, actually, I've looked at the fence at Martinsville, and between it and Bristol, they're really unsafe fences. I'm not a fence builder, but I know what I can climb on and what I can't.
Maybe those fence people need to take note of you, Dickie.
I'm impressed that he's checked out the fences at different tracks,
Correct.
thinking, that's a good fence. I need to go to Kansas.
He's an assessor.
Let me share something with you about Martinsville. Right beside the flagsman stand, there is a camera mounted. Hold up, I got to turn this down.
Yeah,
There's a camera mounted up on the catch fence right by the flag stand that is held up there with vice grips.
Wow.
Come on, right? It's held up there with vice grips.
So are you thin enough to squeeze through there, or what are you saying there?
I could go up there and get that camera.
Well, Hopefully, there's not going to be a car get airborne and take that camera out.
No.
Yeah, hopefully not.
You
He's
know,
gonna grab the
for
camera.
real,
and carry
really,
it.
let me show you guys something real quick, and this is how I really feel about the fence climbing thing. And all. After I seen Austin Dillon's crash, I was thankful to the Lord that I got by with what I did.
Yeah, true.
That was a savage crash.
Yep.
Yeah. And yes,
It would have got me.
Yeah.
It would have got me.
well, we're glad you're good. You're okay with everything, Dickie.
Yep.
And you made it up and down okay.
Yeah, Rachel says you need to.
Hey, Mr. Colson,
Yes, sir.
is there a place where the average fan could go, like on the internet or whatnot, and find out exactly each and every one of the caution flags and why they were brought out
No idea.
for any race?
They used to have race reports like that on. For any race, did you say, Dickie?
Any race you want to go look up why there was a caution flag or a red flag,
and
or
that's in the past,
anything
correct?
that happened within the race.
I think there's
Yeah.
a racing reference.
Yeah, Racing Reference was probably the best place you can go to find that. It's racingreference.com, I think it is. You can just Google Racing Reference and it'll take you there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a wealth of information on that website. It's from drivers, tracks, you name it, season by season, track by track, race by race.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I use
I
that
really
website.
appreciate that.
Yeah, Racing Reference. So, yeah.
Other than David's show, I've been catching up on a lot of it. I did a stitch in the military, and while I was gone, I was not privileged enough to keep up with the sport. And David's show is really doing great for getting me caught up.
Yeah.
David, I got to bail, buddy. I don't want to
Okay.
mess up the show and talk all
Yeah,
too
all
much.
good. Hey, all good, man. Thank you for calling. All right,
Thank
buddy.
you, Dickie.
Yeah, man. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, you too, man. Talk to you
I
later.
did have two shout-outs tonight. A good friend of ours, Sean Irvin.
Sean Irvin, yes.
Keeping
Sean.
him in our prayers. He lost
Stacy.
his wife to COVID, his young wife, and
Yeah.
2 boys, 3 boys he's got at home. Also, I want to put a shout-out to thank Bee Water, who's sponsoring Dawson Cram now in the truck series.
Oh, very cool.
Very sharp-looking
Yeah.
truck. I'm going to put that link up here on this thing and give Bee Water a shout-out to
I
thank
talked
them.
to Chad Hatter on the way here, and he was telling me he's been keeping up with Dawson Cram and commenting to him and stuff on Twitter and Instagram. Him and Spencer Boyd.
Yeah,
Also, they've
yeah.
kind of been keeping up too.
Yeah, Dawson finished 23rd at Darlington yesterday.
Yeah. Very good, Dawson. Keep it up. Well, and I was telling him that we should get Dawson in here, probably come in by himself next time, you know.
Yeah.
He talked a little bit, but his dad did most of the talking, of course.
Yeah, well, there's
Kevin.
a lot of history in that whole family of
Right.
racing. You know, the 3 brothers all working racing. So.
Yeah. So one of them might have been with that car that they took to the Salt Flats. It was in Donnie Allison's honor. He was a Cram.
Maybe
And-
Clinton,
And no, it wasn't him.
Buddy,
Maybe.
Brian.
Do you know the other one? Brian
There's
Cram.
3.
Might have been Brian. Yep. Worked at one of the places there. And so,
Brian was
Yes.
key in all the
yeah.
Tony Uri stuff.
As Dickie says, of course. Brian was?
Yeah.
With the Tony Uri with the
he's-
Bush car?
He's his right-hand man. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's where I know
Somebody
him from.
told me
back in the day.
that Tony Uri didn't do anything without talking
Okay.
to Brian Cram.
Okay. I knew the name sounded familiar because I was good. You know, I've known Tony for 30 years now. And
Yeah.
I used to always go see him whenever I would be in the Bush garage for those years that I went. So Dickie reminds us that Jersey Cape Yachts. Yes,
Yep.
thank y'all.
Jersey Cape Yachts down in Lower Bank, New Jersey. 609-965-8650.
Check them
Got
out.
hurricane season in now. This is the time to get somebody to take care of your boat if the hurricane season hits.
We're at the peak of hurricane season.
Jersey Cape Yachts, you can guarantee safe passage to get your boat out of the way of the storm.
JerseyCapeYachts.com, or send Janine over there an email, GENINE at JerseyCapeYachts.com. So they also have their Yeti tumblers, and they have apparel as well. And also check out Great RV Life. That's GR8 RV Life. They're on the Facebook and Instagram if you want to rent. You know, we got Charlotte coming up. We got Martinsville. If you want to go to the racetrack, or you just want to get away, get back to nature, get over to Lake Norman State Park. They got capacity for RVs, right?
Yep.
I mean,
Yep. And those are all self-contained, so you know they got generator on board, all that. You don't have to worry about nothing. Bring your food, put it in the refrigerator.
And Midway
Convenient.
Campground, that's another one too.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, because we're actually out of time.
Yeah.
But Gene Hammett was asking for a Rob Huffman story from the Bristol Dash race.
Yeah. Okay. So he's driving the White House apple juice car, and he's in, I don't know, he was probably running top 10, and so we're watching him from the infield, and he spins out one of the cars. I think Johnny Chapman may have been the first victim that he got. Yeah. And so it caused a caution, and so they bunched back up again, and it was like 2 or 3 cautions in a row. Robert was trying to get under these guys, and they would spin out. Well, Robert ends up winning the race, and so it was kind of a chorus of boos at that time, and it was like when Dale turned Terry Labonte that time. And so there was some chaos down around Victory Lane that night, and Robert and Ashley, his wife, and their son Landon, who races some now, their daughter wasn't born yet, but they're in Victory Lane, and they get through with their all the celebration and everything, and it was how Bristol has an elevated Victory Lane. It was it was on the top of that building. Mm-hmm. Well, Robert and Ashley and Landon had to have an escort out of the track that night.
Oh yeah,
because they were the stars. Yeah, they were the stars of the show, so to speak, and so they had to be escorted by a deputy out. They exited the race track that night in a police car.
Oh yeah.
To get out of there. You know, that was pretty raucous.
Sure.
And I know Johnny Chapman personally. Of course, I know Robert Huffman personally because he and I grew up together and went to school together. But I'd never seen Johnny Chapman upset until that night. And he was kind of upset.
What's he up to? I love Johnny Chapman.
Johnny, as far as I know, he's not doing any kind of racing anymore. He's got 2 sons. They're both playing, and then I think one of them's playing college baseball. Johnny
was a good egg.
Yeah, he sure was.
I worked with his nephew. I guess it was Keith Chapman. Might be David Keith, but anyway.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, and thanks so much for coming in tonight with us there, Derek.
Yes, thank you, David, and you guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to come in and tell some stories, and everybody else. Yeah. You bring in some really good folks, and I really enjoy the show, and
good.
Of course, we'll be tuned in.
Keep watching, man.
Yeah.
I think because next week we got Frank Kimmel.
Yep.
ARCA champion, and Jeff Lemons will be coming in as well. So they'll be kind of squaring off. They used to work together years ago. Jeff Lemons was on my show about a month or so ago.
Yeah, Frank is Mr. ARCA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Barry Ray's had said Johnny Chapman was Barry Ray.
Yeah, Barry. Yeah, he's a great friend of mine too. So.
Yes,
but thank you guys nonetheless.
Yeah,
we
glad to have
greatly
you.
Appreciate it.
Glad that your birthday wife let you come out and play tonight.
Yeah, I'm very, very gracious for that.
Yes, there you go. Yeah. All right, so tune in next week to Racing Roots with Hamm, and you can also go onto our Facebook page and hit that like if you don't mind, and that way you'll stay tuned to every week when we have a new show. You'll see who our new guest is going to be for the following week, and go to DHammiam.com and subscribe to that channel as well, and on YouTube, DHammiam. All right, so we'll see y'all back here next week, but tune in tomorrow morning for the Billy Buck Morning Show beginning at 6 a.m. I think Billy's going to be back from Norfolk, Virginia by tomorrow morning, and he'll be here bright and early. So we will see y'all next time. Have a great rest of your week. Welcome to Racing Roots with Hamm.
If you don't know our host, David Hamm, he's a 25-year NASCAR veteran, engine builder, and jackman.
Live every Monday evening, we have a new guest
from the racing world with their stories, their paths,
their racing
roots.
Sponsored by Jersey Cape Yachts.
Real Country 550 and 92.9